Hey guys, today on Welcome Home Custom, we are going to learn how to assemble our winter deer. Let's get started. So we are going to go ahead and place all of our pieces for our deer in the woods. Something to note, when you are loading the files into your laser cutter, make sure that anything that has the star pattern at the very top, the sky, you are placing that right side up into your laser so the laser can score and cut. You are not scoring numbers on these pieces. I recommend just noting what the number is and writing it on the back, okay? So then for the other pieces that are not, they don't have any scoring detail, you are placing the good side of the wood face down in your laser. I recommend masking so that you don't get any flashback on your pieces, but then it's going to score the number onto the back of the piece, making it easier for placement, and you don't have to write all the numbers down, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and place all the pieces down. I'm then going to oil it real quick just to make sure I like the colors that I chose for the group. And then we are going to go ahead and do the tape flip and glue method, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get all these pieces placed real quick. We can speed up the video a bit, and then I think we're going to oil it next. Okay, so now that we have him all together, let's go ahead and I'm going to add my tung oil. I think I'm gonna just apply with a paper towel because unfortunately I am out of my sponge brushes right now. I don't typically recommend a paper towel because they can be linty, but for the sake of getting the video done, I am going to go ahead and apply it with a paper towel. This is the tung oil that I'm using. So I like to pour a little bit of the tung oil into a cup. That way I don't get crazy. You don't need a lot. It is much easier to apply with a paintbrush again, or like a foam brush is what I really like to use. But again, we're just going to use this for now. So why don't I go ahead and get this all applied, and then we will assess the wood and see if it's what we like. Okay, so now that I have it oiled, I'm looking at it, and I really love the rich of the sapele, and so I might switch out some of this rich brown and do it on his face instead, and then do mahogany around the nose. That's what I'm thinking. And then I might, for more contrast, do the antlers in the sapele as well. So I'm going to go ahead and try that real quick. We'll flop it out and see if we like it. Nope. I liked the lighter on the face, but I like the darker horns. Okay. So we're going back to the lighter face. That looked a lot better. This is just too dark. And then, but we're doing the darker horns because I do like the darker horns. You just don't know unless you mess around. So let's put this one back. You know what? I can switch out these though, because I cut these too. So let's see what happens when we flip these out. Oh yeah. Yep. That's it. Now if you don't have all these woods, that's totally okay. You can do a couple of things. You could combine your woods, so you could use all mahogany, but keeping in mind, because of the wood grain and how it's moving, it's still going to be very obvious it's different parts. So you could totally use mahogany in place of the sapele. And then the other thing you could do is use a stain on the mahogany and warm it up, or cool it down. You know, you can make it just a little bit darker. So that's something to keep in mind. Don't be upset and don't not make the file just because you don't have the specific woods I'm using. It's okay to try different woods than what I am using specifically. So let's get these pieces back in. Yes, there are little tiny, tiny, tiny micro-sized letters on the back of these pieces, so you know which one goes where. Okay, so that is the way we are going to do our deer. Now I have got some fingerprints on there from messing stuff around, so I'm going to get those cleaned up real quick, and then we will move on to our next step. Okay, so we are all oiled up. I am going to start taping my pieces together. I know one thing that people always question or ask about are gaps, and gaps are going to happen if you don't have the piece perfectly aligned. So like right here, sometimes it just takes shifting the pieces just a little bit to get all your gaps to go away. Just means that one of your pieces is slightly shifted left or right, and it's just going to need just a little bit of a finesse to get them to line up. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's go ahead and tape. Basically, I use blue tape when I do this. And I go through and just tape all of the areas together super tight, and then we will flip it, add glue, and then flip it back. Okay? So I'm going to speed up the video a little bit because taping gets really boring. But like I said, you're just basically wanting to go through, make sure your pieces are tight, and then tape so that when you go to flip, it is easier. Okay? Okay, so now I've got my space cleaned up. Let's go ahead and place our scrap board over the top. And then you just slide it off your table and grab on either side and just flip. Okay? So now we can take our board, flip it over, and we see all of the pieces in the back. So what we'll do now is we are going to spread glue all over our board that we cut for the deer, and then we're going to flip it back again. Okay, so I'm gonna move the camera over this way a little bit so you guys can see how I apply the glue. I'm using this big scraper. It comes out of my silicone tray, and I'm going to just apply glue right to the back. and then start spreading. And then we'll get an idea of how much more we need. I'm using the tooth side to spread. Kind of adds little ridge pockets. I think it helps. Definitely gonna need a lot more. I'm gonna try to get all the way out to our edges. Want to work fairly quickly because this glue will set up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to lift up the glue board and place it right down on top. Got a little crazy on this side right here. Okay. So let me move the camera back over so you can see what I'm doing. I'm literally going to just place it right on top. Okay. Looks like I got some glue on this side. So clean that off real quick. I don't want the board to stick to my table. Now we are going to flip it right back over again. Whoop, we just slid. It's okay. It's all taped together, remember? All right. Now what we want to focus on is making sure that we feel around on the perimeter of the board. So I am feeling along the edge here and the edge up top, making sure that I am even all the way around. Got some glue coming out the sides, not a bad thing. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. Now, we could do a couple of things. We could place the other board back down on top and then weigh it down with a bunch of sandbags. That works great. You could be risky and remove the tape to see how everything looks. That works too. I'm gonna go ahead and try the sandbag method. So I'm gonna put my board back on top and then I am going to go grab my sandbags real quick. So I have got these sandbags that I got from Amazon. I use them to actually weigh down my wood when I am storing my wood. I actually have one more. I can do one more if I want. Okay, so I'm using the board on top so that I'm applying even pressure everywhere. I'm gonna turn these around. I know my cedar was wanting to be a little bit more wonky than the rest, so I'm gonna apply a lot of pressure there. Okay. So now we are going to let this sit, let it dry, and we will come back and check on it in a little bit. Okay, so we've let it sit for a while. Let's remove the bags. And we are going to remove our tape. It looks great. right, so the next thing we need to do is, if you're going to add the snow, I would recommend putting him in the frame first if you plan on framing him. That way you know how much of an overlap you're gonna have when you add the snow. I have a frame that I purchased that I can actually use, so I'm going to go ahead and frame him up real quick, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we've got it framed up. This isn't the best frame. I'm not super excited about it because it's not super strong on this side. So I probably would get a point driver so I can add some new points to it, and that holds the piece in a little bit better. But what we're gonna do is we are gonna grab all our snowflakes, which this is totally optional. So I'm going to just place them randomly. I actually use some 1/8 and some 1/4 inch for these. You go ahead and get these all placed real quick, and then we will move on to the next part. Ooh, what if I rounded all these? Oh boy. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna round some of these and see if I like it. Stay tuned. Okay, so I have my snowflakes. I went ahead and rounded the edges just a little bit because I, have so much time on my hands. I might as well, just spend time doing something tedious. All right, guys, that's it. Hope you found the tutorial helpful. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, just ask below. Thanks so much.